Tonight I'm here to talk about Thanos, the Infinity Relativity by Jim Starlin, Andy Smith, Frank Darmada, Rachel Rosenberg, and Travis Lanham. This is an original graphic novel that came out in, I think, 2015. It is part of a trilogy of cosmic stories that Jim Starlin was heading up around this time. And I want to talk about some of the good and then some of the bad with this book. So the good. Thanos is featured pretty heavily here, and he's a very interesting character. I knew very little about Thanos before he started being heavily featured in the Marvel movies. I had read an occasional issue with him here and there, but by and large, I have not read a lot of Jim Starlin's oeuvre that features Thanos. I had read some of the Adam Warlock stuff from the 70s and some of Starlin's Captain Marvel stuff, but Thanos wasn't heavily featured in a lot of what I read. And what I like about the Thanos here versus the Thanos of the movies is that he still has that edge. He still feels very menacing, but the story is constructed in such a way where you can also buy that under the right circumstances, he can be an ally to the heroes. And this references at one point in the 90s, Adam Warlock had gotten all of the Infinity Stones, and because that made him so powerful, he didn't want to hold all that power, so he gave an Infinity Stone to each of his friends, and that was the Infinity Watch. And Thanos was a member of the Infinity Watch. I don't remember which stone that he was given to look after, but under the right circumstances, Thanos can be shown to be an ally to people who are less evil than him, for lack of a better word. And I like that this story has Thanos not in the strictest sense as an adversary. I thought that was very interesting. Thanos was maybe my favorite part of this book. So that is the good. Unfortunately, there is a lot more bad here. Let me first talk about the presentation of this book. As I said, this is part 2 of a trilogy of original graphic novels. According to Amazon, this book is 100 pages. That is, in terms of like single issue comics, roughly the equivalent of 4 issues. In 2015, you could buy 4 issues for roughly $12, about $3-ish per issue. This original graphic novel, 100 pages, the original cover price was $25. It's not a long book. $25 is very steep for how little story you are getting here. And since this is part of a trilogy, I feel like I'm jumping in where a lot of story has already happened and then none of the story gets wrapped up. It ends on a pretty huge cliffhanger, and you're paying $25 for this, you're going to feel robbed. Now, I paid about $5 for this in a bargain bin, and I still feel like I was robbed. I feel like for the amount of pages you're getting, the price should have been significantly dropped, or they should have had more story here for the price that you're paying. And I think what they were doing around this time and a few years earlier, they were putting out these original graphic novels to try to lure in people who were familiar with these characters from the movies, and they thought, well, I want to see what the comics are like because I like the movies, and maybe the comics are very overwhelming. You come in and there's dozens of comics coming out every month and you have no idea where to start, and then you see an original graphic novel that comes out and it doesn't have any numbering, and then you're thinking, well, maybe I can read that. You had Avengers Endless Wartime written by Warren Ellis. I don't remember who did the art. And then in the back of this book, it references one of the other Thanos books that Starlin wrote. And then you had Avengers Rage of Ultron that Rick Remender and Jerome Opeña. And those were kind of there to bring in people like, okay, I know who Ultron is. He was just in a movie. Here's an Avengers story where they fight Ultron. Or Avengers Endless Wartime. It's Avengers fighting the Chitauri. I think they're in that story. And they were in the first Avengers movie. And so I get that they were trying to do that here. This has Thanos, who by this point, non-comic book readers knew who Thanos was, even though this is before Infinity War. This features the Guardians in it. Not as heavily as Thanos, but by this point, the Guardians had their own movie. But this is so steeped in continuity. At times, I was dizzy trying to keep up with a lot of the stuff that this is referencing. And some of this, I don't know if it's referencing the previous book that this is part of a trilogy of, or if it's referencing stuff from a long time ago. Sometimes it's referencing stuff from a long time ago, like the Infinity Watch. But there is so much stuff here. I cannot imagine somebody who is just familiar with the movies coming in and reading this book, especially if you're like me and you're only reading this chapter of this trilogy. I cannot imagine anyone coming away from this book understanding what's going on. And that's not just all the very, very steep continuity stuff, which sometimes that can work. When I was younger, when I was first getting into comics, if I would buy a comic and then they would say, this is like that one time when my brother became a vampire, and then there would be a little asterisk next to that, and at the bottom of the panel there'd be an asterisk, and it would say, true believer, check out Doctor Strange, issue 33. That was cool to me. I wanted to check out Doctor Strange, issue 33, so that I could feel like I knew what Doctor Strange was talking about when his brother became a vampire. But some people just want to read a story, and they just want to understand what's going on in that story. And when you've got on just about every page references to something that happened before, and everyone is scratching their heads trying to figure out what's going on here because they haven't read what came before, that can be a detriment to your story. Also, even setting aside all the continuity stuff, you've just got a lot of stuff happening in this book. You've got Adam Warlock, who is actually, spoilers, a combination of the Adam Warlock of the main Marvel Universe and also the Adam Warlock of another universe, and I'm still confused how all that worked, because early on in the book, Adam Warlock has tried to commit suicide and it didn't really work, and then he is talking to a version of Gamora, and it looks like the Gamora from the 1990s, but then later Gamora shows up in this book and she looks like how she looked in 2015 when she was with the Guardians. She doesn't have like the fishnet costume like she did in the 90s, and so I don't know what's going on here. At one point, I was under the impression this was the main Marvel Universe's version of Adam Warlock, but then later Thanos says this is actually an alternate universe version of Adam Warlock. I don't know. So you've got Adam Warlock. At one point, there is this robot army called the Protectorate. They are coming toward Earth so that they can take natural resources, because the Protectorate is this robot AI that is trying to look after this alien species that's nearly extinct, and Adam Warlock sees them as a threat to Earth. They show up, and then Adam Warlock apparently deals with them off screen, because then later the Silver Surfer shows up and meets the Protectorate, and then the Protectorate is like, yeah, so we tried to attack Earth, and then Adam Warlock attacked us, and there he is, he tried to kill himself. And we had already seen a page where Adam Warlock was talking with Gamora, saying that he was going to try and end himself, and Gamora said, it's not going to work, it's never worked before, you're not able to die. So you have Adam Warlock, the Protectorate, which is only in like 2 pages of this book. The Silver Surfer, which is only in like 2 pages of this book. Then you have Pip the Troll, who was a member of the Infinity Watch and was an old friend of Adam Warlock. You have the Guardians of the Galaxy. Then you have the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, like 3 of them. They are kind of a big deal because they find out that Annihilus, who is basically the emperor of the negative zone, he is this big walking bug man, that he is trying to invade the Posiverse, which every time they say Posiverse, it sounds awful. Just say the positive universe, don't try to make Posiverse a thing. Every time he tries to attack the Posiverse, the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, they find out about it, and then they are there to try and stop it. So there's them, then you have Thanos, did I mention him yet? And then he is trying to stop Annihilus, and then he has to work with the Infinity Watch members like Pip and Gamora, and then the rest of the Guardians to try and stop Annihilus. And then I think that's it, but that's like 7 or 8 different threads that all have to come together in 100 pages. And for the first half of this book, all of these threads are just kind of scattered all over the place. And it is a lot to keep up with. In the first half of this book, I really had no idea what was going on. I knew, okay, Annihilus is trying to invade the Posiverse. I knew that. But then everything else, like, for some reason, Adam Warlock is a gladiator on this world, and there's a Skrull guy who's working for him. A lot of that made no sense to me. I had no idea what was going on, and I don't know how much of that is the equivalent of the movie Gladiator came on like 45 minutes ago, and you just jump in the middle of the movie and you have no idea what came before, and how much of that is stuff that happened well before this trilogy. Overall, unfortunately, even though I like the presentation of the character of Thanos here, I would have to say I do not recommend Thanos the Infinity Relativity. Maybe what they should have done was, once all 3 of these books came out, put them all out in a really big 300-page omnibus, or maybe just wait until Jim Starlin was finished with the story and then put it out all at once. You could have a kind of steep priced book that has the complete story, and then maybe it would have made a little bit more sense to me. But that's all that I have to say about this book. Hope you guys like this one, and I will be back in the future to talk about something else. In the meantime, have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.